Page 14. 50 Events You Really Need to Know. History of War, Robin Cross, 2012. 02. The Macedonian phalanx. 338–168 BC. The greatest military leader of the ancient world, Alexander the Great, was born in 356 BC. He was the son of another great commander, Philip II of Macedon, 382–336 BC, who had transformed a weak feudal state into the dominant power in the Balkans. The domains of Philip II of Macedon, who ruled from 359 BC to 336 BC, expanded significantly through military conquests and astute diplomatic maneuvers. Initially, his kingdom included Macedonia, but under his reign, it extended to encompass much of Greece, including Thessaly and Thrace, and parts of Illyria. As an 18-year-old, Alexander fought under his father's command at the Battle of Chaeronea, 338 BC, leading the Macedonian left, which crushed the flower of the Theban army, the Sacred Band. Philip was assassinated in 336, when he was on the point of attacking Persia. By 334 his son was ready to invade the Persian Empire at the head of a battle-tested army. "My boy, you must find a kingdom big enough for your ambitions. Macedonia is too small a place for you." Philip II's words to his young son, as reported by Plutarch, c.50 c.ad 120. The phalanx. The iron core of the Macedonian army was the infantry phalanx, from whose steadiness and reliability Philip and Alexander derived much of their strength. It was almost certainly Philip who laid the foundations of the pestaro, the foot companions, so called to stress their relationship to the king as a tactical and political counterweight to the aristocratic companion cavalry, which had started as a royal bodyguard. Philip's military modernization. Macedonian infantry had originally lacked discipline, training and organization. Philip enforced a rigorous training regime that involved regular forced route marches with full equipment and baggage. He banned the use of wheeled transport and forced the infantry to carry 30 days' rations on their backs when they were campaigning. Camp followers were kept to a minimum for both infantry and cavalry, reducing the size of the baggage train and maximizing mobility. Philip also developed an efficient commissariat, which enabled him to campaign all year round, and his son provided all his campaigns with a sound logistical backup. Alexander embarked on his first campaign with 12,000 infantry and 1,500 cavalry. Some 9,000 of the infantry were organized on a territorial basis, in 6,500-strong brigades, taxes, of foot companions. The remaining 3,000 infantry formed an elite guard, the shield-bearers, hypaspists. The shield-bearers and foot companions were deployed in the center of the Macedonian line of battle flanked by the cavalry, with whom they were trained to maneuver in echelon. The companions were used in a shock roll, to splinter the enemy line, which was then rolled up by the phalanx. The sarissa. The Macedonian heavy infantry's principal weapon was the sarissa, a long two-handed pike made of cornel wood, about 6.3 meters, 21 feet, long, weighing about 8 kilograms, 17 pounds, and made in two parts joined by an iron sleeve, making it easier to carry on the march. The phalanite wielded his sarissa with both hands, keeping it aligned with those of his comrades. The smallest tactical battle unit of the phalanx was the spara of 256 men drawn up in close order 16 deep. Phalanx drill required the sarissas of the first 5 ranks to project beyond the men in the front rank in the highly compact attack formation. The front rank held their sarissas leveled at the enemy and projecting some 4 meters, 13 feet, ahead of the man holding it. The men in the second rank, 1 meter, 3.3 feet, behind the file leaders, raised their sarissas, extending their weapons 3 meters, 10 feet, beyond the front rank. The third rank raised their sarissas higher and the fourth rank raised them still higher. Those in the fifth rank raised their sarissas toward the sky to break the force of incoming missiles while at the same time adding their weight to the force of the charge. The strong handsome commander with one eye dark as the night and one blue as the sky. Arian, C.Ad 90 C.165, on Alexander. The overall effect was a steepling hedge of sarissas that demoralized enemy infantry and, at this stage in the history of warfare, discouraged war elephants. Handling their sarissas obliged the phalanxites to dispense with their heavy body armor in favor of leather corselets, helmets and greaves. End of the phalanx. As the men in the phalanx used both hands to wield the sarissa, they could carry only a small round bronze shield, suspended from the neck, which covered the left shoulder. In 327 those carried by the shield bearers were decorated with silver plates, and the formation acquired the name silver shields, agriraspites. Elephants on the battlefield. Alexander first encountered war elephants at the Battle of Gaugamela, 331 BC. At the Battle of the Hydaspes, 326 BC, in India, the Macedonians faced about 100 elephants lined up before the battle array at 15-meter, 49-foot, intervals with the aim of stopping Alexander's cavalry. Horses do not like the smell of elephants. The Macedonian light infantry advanced against the elephants, attempting to kill their drivers with javelins, before Alexander ordered his phalanxes to attack in a tightly knit-locked shield formation, presenting the elephants with an intimidating mass of spears, which drove them off. In the hands of a military genius like Alexander, who was able to integrate all types of troops into a seamless whole, the phalanx was a formidable weapon. But in lesser hands the phalanx had its weaknesses, and it survived in progressively degraded form. It could only operate efficiently over even ground on which there were no features to disrupt its cohesion. And when it came up against disciplined and well-led Roman armies in the 2nd century BC, the cracks began to show. The men longed to again see their parents, their wives and children, their homeland. Coenus, a phalanx commander, on Alexander's expedition to India in 327–326 BC. At Cynosphili in 197 BC the phalanx was defeated by the legion. At Pydna in 168 BC a Macedonian army of 4,000 cavalry and 40,000 infantry, including a 20,000 strong phalanx, was defeated by 4 legions commanded by Aemilius Paulus. The Macedonian line stretched for 2 miles, 3.2 kilometers, with the phalanx at its center and cavalry on either wing. The Roman commander later recalled his alarm as the advance of the phalanx sliced through the front ranks of his army. But in the process, it became disorganized, and gaps opened up to be exploited by the legionaries as the phalanxites, encumbered by their heavy sarissas, were unable to cope with close combat. The Macedonian cavalry fled the field, leaving the phalanx to be cut up by the legions. Defeat reduced Macedonia to the status of a Roman province. The condensed idea. The phalanx was Alexander's invincible infantry formation. Timeline. 356 BC. Alexander born. 338 BC. Battle of Chaeronea. Macedonians under Philip II defeat an Athenian and Boeotian army. 334 BC. A combined Macedonian, Greek army is ferried across the Dardanelles into Asia. At Granicus, Alexander defeats a combined force of Persian satraps. 333 BC. Alexander overwhelms the Persian army at the Battle of Issus. 332 BC. Alexander's siege of Tyre. 331 BC. Alexander seals the end of the Persian Empire at the Battle of Gaugamela. 326 BC. Alexander's last and most costly victory at the Battle of the Hydaspes at the gates of India. 323 BC. Death of Alexander at Babylon. 281–275 BC. Pyrrhus of Epirus introduces more flexible tactics with his articulated phalanx. 197 BC. Roman legions defeat the phalanx at Cynosphili. 168 BC. The legions, with the help of war elephants, defeat the phalanx at Pydna. Page 18.